Welcome, dear listeners, to a tale that transcends time and resonates with the lingering spirits of a town's darkest secrets. Our story begins with Sarah, a young woman whose world is about to collide with the remnants of her grandfather's enigmatic life, leading her down a path fraught with eerie discoveries and the echoes of ancient rituals. Join us as we step into the pages of a chilling narrative, where the boundaries between the living and the lost become blurred, and the past emerges from the shadows to confront the present. Sarah approached her grandfather's house with a heavy heart. He had recently passed away. Sarah hardly knew the man. Her grandfather had lived a reclusive life in the old house at the outskirts of the small town she lived in. The facade of the once grand residence looked weathered and worn. Sarah remembered how it scared her as a child. It didn't help that her grandfather also looked frightening, a large, scowling man with shocking white hair and a long beard. Although visits to her grandfather were infrequent, he always warned her to stay away from the basement in his thunderous, deep voice. As a child, she had no desire to stay inside the creepy house longer than necessary, let alone the basement, and was content with playing in the vast garden outside till her parents would tell her it was time to leave. Sarah's father was already waiting for her at the door. The two had decided to sort through her grandfather's possessions together. The air was thick with a sense of nostalgia and mystery as Sarah and her father ventured inside. Dust danced in the beams of sunlight that filtered through half-closed blinds and cast a glow over her grandfather's many possessions. Sarah felt a chill crawl up her spine. She was glad that her father was present. After a long day, she felt they had barely made any progress. The house was huge and had many, many rooms. Both Sarah and her father seemed to have an unspoken agreement to stay away from the ominous basement door. They were about to call it a day when Sarah found herself drawn to a room that felt untouched by the passage of years. A room that carried the weight of forgotten stories. The air seemed to grow heavy as she navigated through the dimly lit space. And then, in a far corner, obscured by a cloth that had faded to gray, she discovered it, the large, ornate mirror. Its frame was made of solid wood, which bore intricately carved patterns that seemed to tell a tale of their own. Sarah couldn't help but be drawn to the mirror, her fingertips grazing the cold glass as if seeking a connection to the past. The more Sarah gazed into the mirror, the more transfixed she was. It seemed like the mirror was calling out to her. She decided to take the mirror as a keepsake. As she brought the mirror home, she couldn't help but feel a subtle pull, as if the mirror itself had chosen her to unveil the tales hidden within its reflective depths. Placing the mirror in her bedroom, Sarah found herself captivated by its enchanting allure. The ornate patterns seemed to dance in the lamplight, casting shadows that morphed into shapes resembling figures from another time. As the days passed, however, the mirror's presence became more pronounced. In the stillness of the night, Sarah heard whispers. Faint, almost indiscernible. At first, she dismissed them as figments of her imagination, the echoes of an overactive mind. Yet, the whispers persisted, evolving into cries for help that seeped into her dreams, leaving her waking with a shiver down her spine. The mirror, once an object of fascination, now held a disconcerting power over Sarah. In moments of solitude, she caught glimpses of an older woman in the mirror, a phantom presence that replaced her own reflection for mere seconds. Sometimes, she saw a terrified child or a petrified man. On some nights, she could swear she saw a group of people inside the mirror, banging on the surface as if trapped inside, a look of desperation and terror on their faces. The unsettling nature of these occurrences intensified when, one morning, the mirror revealed a word written in what seemed like blood: help. Terrified, she made the decision to return it to her grandfather's house, hoping to escape the whispers the cries, and the haunting reflections that had woven themselves into the fabric of her nights. Yet, little did she know that the mirror would not release its hold so easily. After returning the mirror back to its original location, Sarah breathed a sigh of relief. However, the decision to return the mirror to her grandfather's house did little to quell the unsettling dreams that plagued Sarah's nights. The whispers and cries for help persisted. Shadowy souls with the same petrified faces haunted her dreams every night. Sarah could not shake off the feeling that these faces she had seen in the mirror, and which were haunting her dreams, looked vaguely familiar. Desperate for answers, Sarah reached out to Alex, a young and eccentric supernatural investigator, hoping he could shed light on the mysteries that clung to the ornate mirror. Alex listened intently to Sarah's story. He asked if he could see the mirror for himself. Sarah agreed and took him to her grandfather's house. Together, Sarah and Alex entered the old house, where the air seemed to crackle with an otherworldly energy. In the dim light, they discovered faint runes intricately carved into the back of the mirror. Alex's eyes widened as he deciphered their meaning, symbols that connected the mirror to a realm of malevolent spirits. The mirror, it appeared, was not merely an object of antiquity. It was a vessel that harbored trapped souls. As the two delved deeper into the sinister revelations, they searched around the house for some answers. Their search seemed to be in vain, as they found nothing of use in any of the many rooms. Alex pointed out that there was one place they hadn't looked: the basement. Sarah remembered her grandfather's stern warning to stay away from the basement. What could he have been hiding all these years? They found the basement door locked, which Alex picked with surprising ease. Sarah was glad she wasn't alone. She felt a sense of growing unease as she ventured down the dark, narrow steps leading to the basement. The abandoned basement exuded an eerie stillness, its air heavy with the weight of untold secrets. The light from a single uncovered old bulb cast distorted shadows that danced on decaying walls, revealing faded symbols and ominous markings from rituals long past. Rusty chains hung from the ceiling. The cold, damp floor, bearing stains of unknown origin, hinted at the sinister acts that transpired in the shadows. The remnants of an altar, now weathered and defaced, stood as a chilling centerpiece, surrounded by half-burned candles that whispered tales of forbidden ceremonies. Stowed away in a corner were large, old, dusty boxes. Inside, Sarah uncovered large leather-bound journals and faded notes that told a tale more haunting than Sarah could have imagined. With each turned page of the old journals, the darkness of her grandfather's past unfolded before them. It seemed that he had been part of an ancient cult that was rumored to have existed in the shadows. The journals recorded rituals performed to harness evil spirits from another realm. The mirror was a conduit for these spirits to pass through. They were horrified to learn that the evil spirits required a sacrifice to open the gateway to the malevolent realm. More specifically, human sacrifice. The journals also recounted the dates and gruesome details of the rituals performed. Alex's keen observation pointed out that the dates of these sacrificial rituals aligned disturbingly with missing persons reports filed in the town. As Sarah grappled with the truth, the realization hit her like a cold gust of wind. The faces she had seen in the mirror were the people reported missing over the years, their fates unknown until now. Haunted by this grim revelation, Sarah felt a growing determination to break the curse that bound these trapped souls. However, Alex, while acknowledging the urgency, hesitated. He warned Sarah of the dangers involved in unraveling the ancient rituals, cautioning that the very act of breaking the curse might unleash unforeseen consequences. Undeterred by the potential risks, and weighed down with guilt that she was related to the man who has caused such pain and suffering, Sarah insisted that it was her duty to bring peace to the tormented spirits and give their families closure. With the weight of newfound knowledge pressing on their shoulders, Sarah felt an urgency to act. Alex informed her that in order to undo the curse, they would need to gather a family member or a loved one of the deceased. He explained that their presence would help the trapped spirits to draw strength and break free. She spent the next day reaching out to family members and loved ones of the people who were reported missing over the years, hoping to gather a group for the ritual that Alex believed could break the curse. Some agreed instantly, hoping for a sliver of closure. Others scoffed at the idea, but sensing the urgency in Sarah's voice, they conceded. As the sun dipped below the horizon on the following day, a small group gathered at her grandfather's house. The mirror, standing as a silent witness, seemed to hold its breath as the participants exchanged glances, unsure of the otherworldly journey they were about to embark upon. Alex, with an air of solemnity, had arranged a dozen smaller mirrors, candles, and lanterns strategically around the room. He explained their purpose: to challenge the distorted reality within the mirror and disrupt the spirit's hold on the trapped souls. As the group gathered around the ornate mirror in a circle, their breaths hung in the air, anticipation mingling with apprehension. Alex guided the group through the ritual. He spoke of chanting words of purity and renewal when the clock struck midnight and the moon reached its peak. He warned them that they would meet resistance from the dark spirits and urged them to remain undeterred. As the appointed hour approached, the room buzzed with a palpable tension. Midnight arrived, and the group, guided by Alex's instructions, began chanting. The air crackled with energy, and the faces of the lost souls started appearing in the mirror. The group let out a collective cry of shock. The trapped souls, sensing the presence of their loved ones, pounded frantically on the mirror. Some broke from the group and reached out desperately towards the mirror. All of a sudden, the group was encircled with shadows. These shadows had an evil presence and eerie, sinister red eyes. Although it was a warm summer night, the air turned cold. The shadows hissed at the group in a sinister, unearthly voice. A few let out shrieks of fear. Alex, with unwavering conviction, shouted at the group to get back to the ritual and chant louder. The chanting grew louder and louder, drowning out the hissing that emanated from the evil shadows. The battle of wills between the evil shadows and the humans seemed to get desperate. Finally, with one last urge from Alex to chant louder, the mirror cracked, its surface shattering like fragile glass. In that moment, the dark shadows vanished, leaving behind a profound feeling of peace. In the aftermath, the town came together for a memorial for the deceased, paying tribute to the deceased and finding closure after years of uncertainty. Alex left town shortly afterwards. Sarah tried to put this ordeal behind her. However, there were unanswered questions that often kept her up at night. How did her grandfather get involved with the cult? Why did the cult unleash evil spirits? Did the cult still exist? And if it did, were the lives of the town still in danger? Sleep tight, dear listener, if you can. If you enjoyed this chilling tale, consider subscribing for more bone-chilling stories that will keep you up long after the lights are out. Until next time, remember, sometimes the darkest shadows hide the bravest hearts.